we started getting layoffs. Company that I joined then laid me off in September 22. So that gave me the kick again to think this is the time I really do need to start my own business. When I run my own business, when I'm contract, never been made redundant, never been laid off, never had any problems, never short of work.
Hello friends, and welcome back to Software Engineering Tales. Today I have a pleasure to talk with John Cricket, a seasoned software engineering professional who also happens to be a very successful content creator. You might know John from LinkedIn, where he managed to build some really massive following with his wonderful posts, but you might also know him from Coding Challenges, which is the project that I really like to, learn new stuff and try new languages and stuff like that while building a real world applications. So you can check it out if you didn't stumble upon it already. I will add all the relevant links to the description so that you can connect with John and check Coding Challenges. And last thing, before we get into it, if you like the episode, leave me a comment. I always appreciate it. And also feel free to give me any feedback that you like. And now let's get to it. Hi, John. Welcome to Software Engineering Tales. I'm really glad that you could make it today.
Hi, Pavel. Thanks for inviting me on.
So here is what I know about you. I know that you are a software engineering manager, and you are also quite active, let's say, content creator on LinkedIn and elsewhere, and we will get to that. But first thing that I'm really curious about, because I didn't, read that much about it in your posts, and when I was checking basically your background, is what your own career journey looked like.
It's been pretty varied. I've been a professional software engineer since 1996. At least part-time, 1996 to 98, full-time since 1998. I started in 96 during the summer, the end of my first year at uni. I joined one of the first ISPs in the UK and wrote CGI scripts for them. Carried on working throughout university holidays and, so kind of, I say part-time. Then 1998, when I graduated, worked full-time. I've done a wide range of things from that time, from embedded software for mobile phones, trackside software for railway signaling systems, all sorts of things from websites to data engineering projects, and a fair bit of AI and machine learning for several years, not around LLMs and the current stuff that's in hype, but more around the evolutionary algorithms. During that time, I've been a permanent member of staff. I've run my own business for about 18 years now. I've been a contractor. And it's not really been a straightforward journey. It's been very winding, very varied. I started my first business, for example, in 2001, around the kind of time of the dot-com hype, and as everyone was getting excited about all these startups, I kind of jumped on the bandwagon and wanted to do something too. Not very imaginative, so I built a software consultancy instead of a dot-com startup, because that's what I was used to working at. And say, since then, it's been very varied. I've sometimes been in management roles, all the way up to a CTO level. I've sometimes been, an individual contributor up to staff and principal level. I've worked at companies that were just myself, all the way through to, I think, about 15,000. So a whole range of sizes. It's been a very winding and varied road with just kind of responding to the adventures as they happen, enjoying the journey.
Yeah, I think that's a good trait for anyone in like software engineering, to see your doors opening basically and be inviting to the opportunities, right? Because
it's good and bad in that it makes it very hard, if you have a very unstructured career like that, it does make it hard sometimes. And if you want to go and do something because you have a CV that's very interesting, shall we say, and not the very traditional started a junior, progressed to manager, did this or whatever. So there's pros and cons.
Yeah. And so how are you helping your clients today, basically?
Well, at the moment, I'm focused entirely on coding challenges and more recently with my LinkedIn personal branding. So that's become the focus of my life for the last couple of months.
Yeah, that's cool, because I was about to ask you like how this creatorship journey changed your life, and I see that quite significantly, right?
Yeah, quite significantly, and it's not really been what I expected. It's not been what I planned. So, to give you the story from the start, as I mentioned, I've started my first business in 2001. My wife has been pushing me to start another business, and I've been thinking about it, but again, not really had the idea, not had the thing that I wanted to do. In February 22, then I joined a company, took a permanent role that seemed like a very good role to me to lead a team, build up a growth engineering team. Again, or not in February 10. I interviewed them in February. I joined them in May 2022. Looked like a great role. Unfortunately, with things that happened between February and May, world's economy changed. We started getting layoffs. Company that I joined then laid me off in September 22. So that gave me the kick again to think this is the time I really do need to start my own business. When I run my own business, when I'm contract, never been made redundant, never been laid off, never had any problems, never short of work. Still haven't got the idea I'm going to live with. So at that time, I thought I'd start being a bit more active on LinkedIn, started using it more to network, talk to old colleagues, talk to people, and was thinking about a few things. And I fell quite quickly back into another role, a short-term contract role with some consultancy with people I'd worked with in the past. Still had it in the back of my mind to start a new business. Still looking for that idea. And then I started posting the occasional thing on LinkedIn in February of 23. And the idea then was I start engaging a bit more with software engineers, and I try and figure out, I'm a software engineer. I know software engineers. What was the business that I could build for software engineers, a market I know? And how could I do my own startup? Got a bit further through that, and as I was posting a few things in March, I posted something about doing MVPs. That went semi-viral, and I thought, okay, I'm actually going to demonstrate how you can build an MVP cheaply. And the MVP I decided to build was, here's how you could reach an audience, build a newsletter, in this case, start getting some traction, and you'd have an idea from that if you could validate things. So thought I'd build coding challenges, and I maybe better illustrate my point and use it to get an audience of software engineers and figure out something to build for software engineers. I thought maybe I'll get 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. So I posted about that on a Friday. By Sunday, I had 1,500 subscribers. And at that point, it was like, oh, okay, there's something a bit more here. There's more than just a throwaway comment. So I started doing that, and it very quickly grew. And with it, my audience on LinkedIn grew. So now I'm building coding challenges. I have that as a newsletter. There's 68,000 or so subscribers on Substack, over 100,000 subscribers on LinkedIn, and I've got 180,000 followers on LinkedIn, most of which I built between March 23 and March 24. So that's kind of how I've ended up here. It was really supposed to be how do I find an audience? How do I find it fit for people and figure out a proper business to build for them? Wasn't really intending to be a creator.
Yeah.
But in part of that, I then had a couple of people try and acquire coding challenges. And it was that point I thought, actually, there's something here. This actually is a proper business, could be a proper business. I can build something out for this. So that's what I've been looking to do over the last 6 months. Bit of a family tragedy that has kind of derailed those plans for most of that time, but I left my job 6 months ago with the intention of doing that. Now that family circumstances have settled down a bit, I'm kind of back on focusing for that.
Yeah. I think you just found something that was missing on the market, because and I basically found you through the coding challenges. I first saw coding challenges because I was trying to find something to learn a new language on, or some project to try.
Mhm.
And I must say that when I look 4 years back, when I was career switching to software engineering, I was learning and I was trying to build some stuff on the side. It was quite challenging to find a good project suggestions with some instructions how to start, and more let like people build on their own. And I think you just nailed it 100%. So one of the projects that I saw quite recently from you is that you are trying to teach other software engineering people how to build their personal brand, be it on LinkedIn or elsewhere. But why do you think that it's important for like anyone ordinary?
So, as I mentioned, I started my first business in 2001. I was a typical software engineer at the time in that I thought, hey, it's cool. I can build cool software. The whole world is going mad for these .com startups. If I can build websites, and I can, and so few people can, the world will beat a path to my door. I'll just, put up a website. I'm a business, can build your website. And as I don't know if you ever seen Only Fools and Horses, but this time next week we'll be millionaires. That's the catchphrase from that British TV show.
Yeah,
Or, it's a feels a dream thing. If you build it, they will come. Well, reality check. No. You build it,
yeah.
nothing. No one knows
No
it's
one
there.
cares.
So that came with a kind of harsh reality and a wake up call that, hey, nobody knows it's there. I've started a business now. I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got bills to pay. I need customers. I need to go and sell and market. I need to go and figure out what to do with that. So that was a wake up call as, need to go and start doing that, need to learn how to sell. And I've realized over time that selling is something that a lot of us fear. I think particularly as software engineers, we're maybe a little bit sometimes introverts, sometimes put off asking people to buy things. Sometimes we feel a bit more as well that, hey, we do good work. People should instantly recognize how great it is and how valuable it is. But the reality of the world is it's not really like that. We have to go out there and we have to market. And I found that the best way of doing that, the way I felt comfortable with, was to meet people and to network and build relationships. And that's what we learned to do for our business. We learned to grow that by going out, going to as many events as possible, and just going to meet people and say, hi, I'm John. I do this. What do you do? One of the biggest challenges in your lives. And we built a script around that, and I meet people, ask them what the problems were, and then introduce them to other people I met that could solve their problems. And in doing so, occasionally somebody went, oh, I'm trying to grow my business online. I need a website, or I need some software doing. And I go, I can help you with that. And then it started coming back, as I introduced lots and lots of people, build up some goodwill. So then when they met people that went, oh, I'm really struggling with some software, or I need something doing, they introduced them back to myself and my brother, as it was then. And we built the business that way through networking. So I've learned across all that. And that's why during that time, I was one of the first people on LinkedIn in 2003. So all those relationships and networking have been very valuable. And we built a brand there. We became quite well known, and people talked about us, only in the little small geographical area where we worked. But
Yeah,
I saw the value of that.
but it matters, right? Because it's like a small bubble that very valuable
Yeah,
network, very
absolutely.
valuable bubble.
And again, I saw that. I joined an organization called the ACCU early in my career, and I saw the personal brands that people built there and the reputation they got and the opportunities that opened up for them. So those were people like Kevin Henney, who's spent his entire career now going out and presenting on software, and they built that personal brand. And again, I saw how valuable that was. So I'd done that a little bit. I wrote a few articles, I built some stuff up, I blogged, but I hadn't really thought about doing it on LinkedIn till 2023. But now, I've built an audience there. It's showing me that Coding Challenges is that potential proper business that I should be working on. So I'm looking at doing that. And I've got a lot of work to do in building that up. So kind of giving some of that knowledge back and helping other people build their personal brand is a way of funding the development in coding challenges and helping them build that more, and also helping other software engineers who want to do that gain the knowledge so that they can find their consultancy work, build their own audience, and figure out what startup to build for their audience or whatever it is that's going to suit them.
Yeah. Where do you see coding challenges going in like a year or 3 as a business?
Wow. I have no idea. I mean, the things that I think people might want don't necessarily align, and the things that people ask for aren't necessarily the things I thought of. So now I had very much the intention of providing something that would help people pick out the projects, as you say, that would excite people. I very much thought that certain projects, like say Docker, would be of vast interest and people would enjoy those. Where actually Docker's been one of the least interesting ones. Much as I had fun building it and learning all about it to do it, I seem to be quite alone there. Where some other areas have been more popular. And again, I had focused or had more in mind focusing on how do we build this complex bits of software like Docker or Redis, or how would you build a Kafka and some of the other things I'm working on. But actually, a lot of the requests now I get is how do I learn Python? How do I learn Go? How do I learn Rust? So maybe, again, I'm very much a believer in go where the market asks me to. So I hadn't planned to go that way, but I'm leaning towards building tutorials and helping people learn those languages. Again, I've very much managed in coding challenges with the how to build Kafka, how to build Redis, how to build Docker. That kind of challenge would be for mid to senior engineers. People, as you said before, looking to learn a new language that may be already professional software engineers. And that's what I've used a lot of the challenges for in the past is, I use them to learn C, then I use them to learn C++, I've used them to learn Rust, which is what I was doing when I started this. But again, I'm getting a lot of people who are coming in who are career changers, a lot of people who are actually asking how can I use them to learn to be a software engineer. So again, maybe as I get more pull from the market, that will become a bigger audience that I'll focus on. So I shall see which way the audience pulls me and what the response is.
Yeah, and is part of that your activities around like personal branding itself? Because I was a part of the first like LinkedIn challenge you kicked off back in, I think it was May or June this year, and right now you have also some like self-paced tutorial course that you or e-learning that you
so I did 2 cohorts
recently
of the course as a 30-day challenge, and that was fun. Particularly the second course, as I got a lot of feedback, I wanted a bit more personal interaction, but there were, I think, 15 people in the second cohort. But a lot of the personal interactions, only a few people turned up. So I had some great one-to-one sessions with people from that, and they got a great 1 hour of going through things one-to-one. But that doesn't scale. And really, I want to focus on building coding challenges. So I want the personal branding to help people be able to evolve this stuff and to fund me building coding challenges to support the community and take that way. So the personal branding, like I say, I'm launching that. I've launched that last Friday. I'm promoting it this week to get that. And hopefully as that becomes a steady thing, it will fund me being able to put more investment into coding challenges and grow that.
Let's turn the page and let's dive a little bit into your vast professional experience, because I have one question that I want to ask you, and that's what makes a good, software engineering manager?
A good software engineering manager. I think for me, it has. Let me ask the question: What do we mean by software engineering manager? There, are we talking about an engineering manager in a company of 500 engineers, or somebody who is managing engineers in any organization? Because, like I say, I've been VP, CTO of small companies and startups. So I was VP engineering in a VC-backed startup with a team of about 30 engineers. I've been CTO of my own companies and a few smaller startups, and a fractional CTO of some startups that are small. And I've been a manager in a company of 5,000 where I've had sort of 50 people teams.
Yeah.
they've all been very different. They've all had a very different focus. So,
Let's talk about both levels. Like, what are the qualities that you need to succeed, or how you can tell that this is a good manager when you are like closer to the team, let's say more like a team lead, and when you grow to position where you have tens or maybe hundreds people underneath you.
okay, cool. So when we talk about the team lead, the focus for me has always got to be you are being effective when you're team lead when you're lifting everyone else up.
Yeah.
So my preferred style, and leadership is very situational, so you've got to adapt it to the team. But my preferred style for that is some form of servant leadership. How can you help the team be better? How can you be a force multiplier for the team? So how can you unblock them? How can you support them? How can you support their professional development? And what can you do to kind of upskill that team and make sure that where you're the most skilled person on that team, which there will be some areas you are, you mentor those that know less. Where you're not the most skilled person, you get the most skilled person on the team to be mentoring and coaching the other people on the team. And we have to be careful there that we don't think about levels of seniority, because as a manager of a team, I may be the most experienced in, say, project management of a project simply for time in trenches, the years of painful scars that you've gained from doing it for a while. But I might be the least qualified to look at some React code because I don't really do front-end web development. So it could be that you've got a front-end developer who's 2 years out of uni, that's new to the career, but they've really focused on React. They know that really well. So they could be the best person to mentor even me and that. And, it's probably still true these days. My React experience is pretty limited. I don't really do front-end, but so it doesn't really matter about how senior somebody is or not, but it's about their expertise compared to the other people. And I'm quite happy if I've got somebody that's 6, 12 months into the job, if they've really focused on something, I'm quite happy for them to mentor and coach me. Equally as much, there'll be times when I can mentor and coach them. So that engineer manager has to be facilitating that to be a good one and helping everyone in the team be a better version of themselves. And looking for ways to make the team collaborative and cooperative and gel and create a good working environment. And that's psychological safety that makes that possible. As you move up to, I don't really want to say a more senior, but to looking from, instead of looking in on the team and how do I make this team better, to how do I have a wider impact on the business, either because you're moving through the senior levels in a bigger company, or perhaps you're in a small startup where you can't just look at the team, you have to look at, hey, how are we going to pay the bills? How's the team's going to get their salaries paid next month? Because we've got to get some revenue through the door. Then you need to be looking around at the wider impact and having more of a commercial awareness. So again, it's where your focus moves from, this is my team here, I'm looking down at the team and they're my focus, to looking around at what else is on the same level, to working around at the industry and going, well, where's our next customer coming from? What do we need to provide to support the customers? How am I going to work with sales? How am I going to work with marketing to make sure that we deliver that? How are we going to keep the happy customers? Do I need to go and visit the customers? Do our customers need to speak to engineers? Do our engineers need to be trained to speak to customers? So it goes from focusing on the team to focusing on the environment and every stage in between us, depending on what level you're at.
Do you think that teams in general are more performant when they are in the same location, in the same office, or it doesn't matter in these worlds settings? I'm just referring to some companies recently, calling everyone back to the office, and some other calling, we don't have childs working for us and everyone can be responsible in remote settings.
So Spotify versus Amazon, basically.
I didn't want to mention specifically, but yeah.
So the trouble with this is it's not really there isn't a simple answer to all of it. And we all have our biases. I mean, hand on heart, I have my biases. This is my house. This is my office. It's probably about 300 square foot. It's the top floor of my house. I've got a private office here. I've never had an office as nice as this. anywhere else I work. I've got several desks. I've got a couple of screens. I've got my guitars. I've got a standing desk. I've got my own private bathroom. I've never had an office as nice as this for anywhere I've worked. So I have no desire to ever go back to an office again. I would not want to. And I do believe you can have a very efficient team that's fully remote, that, like I say, is fully remote and globally distributed. And there are plenty of examples of that. Now, I used to mention Automatic, but with some of the behaviour of their CEO at the moment, I'm not particularly keen on promoting their brand. But they've been remote first for a long time. Before then, one of my favourite examples was MySQL. That company was started remote first and was remote for years, was sold for over $1 billion in 2008. So they proved, back in, I think, the late 90s they started. When you work remotely then from home, you're on a 28K dial-up modem. We didn't have fast internet. You couldn't do video calls like this over that. But they built a $1 billion company, fully remote, through all that difficult, without the technology and the collaboration tools we have now. And they weren't alone. Like I say, Automatic's been going 20-odd years now. There are many other examples of remote-first companies that have built billion-dollar companies, fully remote, asynchronous work. So it can be done. And Canonical is another one with Ubuntu. So you don't have to be co-located. And personal bias, I want to work remote. I want to work remote teams and remote people. And any team I build for coding challenges will be remote first. That said, I don't think it's as simple as saying, yes, you can do it remote, and you're just a bad manager if you can't make your team work remote. Go back to what I said earlier. Leadership is situational, and as I wrote in my developing skills article a few weeks ago, it is situational. There are many different forms of leadership that you can take, and you should be taking the one that's appropriate for your team. So stepping back from that, I've mentioned I like servant leadership. Then that's great if you have an experienced team who mostly are capable of getting on with their own things. If, for example, you don't know, let's say for one reason or other, you have a team of 10 junior people. By junior, I mean they've got less than 6 months experience in the industry. You can't just leave them to be self-organizing. They need a bit more guidance. So you need to be a bit more of an autocratic leader there. And you need to basically be telling them what to do. You need to be showing them what to do. And giving them less scope to go and do their own things until they build up enough experience, that wisdom and judgment, to be able to go and do that themselves. And that will happen at different rates. Some of them will be there in that 6 months. Some of them will take 6-7 years. So you've got to vary that scope. And so it's going to depend on your team every time. And I think for the same reason, that brings us then back to remote or in the office or collaboration. It's going to depend on the team you've got. And again, I don't think it's even sensible to say it at a company level, because let's pick on AWS, who said everybody's got to go back. They have some amazing, distinguished and principal engineers who are huge experience, industry experts, who are perfectly capable of doing great things wherever they are. They probably also have whole teams of junior people who still need that autocratic leadership, that still need to be shown what to do. And it's going to vary team by team. And also that team's going to change. People leave. The average tenure in this industry is 2 years. Your team makeup is going to change. Over the last 5 years, I've worked with one team 3 times. And each time I've gone back to working with that team, it's had a different makeup. The first makeup of the team was a lot of fairly senior people. The second iteration was more balanced. And the third iteration was a bunch of more junior people. The structure of that team and the leadership and the approach it needed was very different each time, even though they're working in the same organization, on the same product, with the same challenges. And then finally, hand on heart, I never want to go in the office. I'm a remote first champion. There are still times when it is really nice just to get around a whiteboard or a table and draw pictures with somebody. And no matter how good Milo or Microsoft Teams whiteboard or whatever other tool you uses, there's just nothing like drawing on a physical whiteboard occasionally, sticking some post-its on a thing, and just being in the same room. It is good. So there's a balance. There's no one simple answer. And I think we've got to find that balance for each of our teams. And it is really at a team level, and it will change rather than being at an organization level.
Yeah, I really like the idea of one companies that I came by. It's called Novell, I think, and they basically build it as remote first, but intentionally from the beginning. They are planning to meet as a whole company like 2-3 times a year for a week to be in one location and let these ideas spark and plan for the future and stuff like that, because I think like in person discussions sometimes are really valuable, and it just fosters connections.
Yeah, I
like real
think 37
connections.
Signals always said they were going to do that. They were remote first, but I think 2 or 4 kind of 1 week get-togethers. Which again, I think that's a great approach. But I think if it was me, I probably wouldn't do it company-wide that often. I might do it company-wide once or twice a year, but then encourage teams to do it more frequently.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily more
And they
frequently,
need
but
them.
to have the choice to do it more frequently.
Yeah. One question that I ask every single guest on this podcast is, I would like to hear about some time that you really messed up throughout your career and what you learned from that.
So I don't know if I want to pin it down to one time, but I guess it's not really one time. It's more a case of, for several years, I've failed to realize how important soft skills were. And I can pick out many times along those years that I messed up with soft skills. And I really want to pick that out because it's something I feel quite strongly about. Yeah, it's no good being a brilliant software engineer if you can't get on with people, because we don't work alone these days. The time when we have this image of this amazing coder that's just going to code on their own in their bedroom or in a darkened office, churn out some amazing code and ship it and great, and world changes. It's over. Everything we do these days is of a significant size. It's got to be maintained, or if it is going to scale eventually, even if one guy builds it, it's going to have to be supported by a team, because if we want to be 24/7, 365, we're going to have people on call. We've got to have people to support it. So you can't be a one-man heroic army anymore. We have to work as a team, and soft skills matter for that. And again, as we talk about that promotion level, if you want to go from junior to mid to senior, and certainly beyond senior, you need to be able to coach and mentor people. You need to be able to talk to other people. You need to get requirements. You need to be able to exert influence, and all of that is soft skills. And if you don't develop those skills, you cap people the ceiling of, it doesn't matter how good you get technically, you will not make it past a senior level developer without those soft skills. And so the mistake I made is not realizing much earlier in my career what a bar that was and how much that was holding me back. And again, even more so for me, in that I was getting out and selling to people. I was dealing with customers. I still miss some of the signals and some of the key things there that would have helped me make a lot faster progress. So a whole series of mistakes over several years of undervaluing soft skills.
If our audience should take just one thing from this episode with them home, what it should be?
It is that about soft skills. It's that soft skills really matter. Develop them, focus on them. And you don't improve soft skills by reading about them. You improve your soft skills by going out there and practicing them. So go and write. Again, another benefit of posting on LinkedIn or Medium or Twitter or whatever. The more you write, the more you do it, the better you get. So the one thing I'd take away is you learn by doing for soft skills, and same for coding. So go and practice your soft skills. Write a blog, write on LinkedIn, write on Twitter, write some documentations team, go to your local meetup and do a presentation on your technology stack, do a presentation in your company. Work on those soft skills, just get a chance to do that. And same, learn by doing when it comes to coding. You get better at software by building stuff, not by watching a tutorial, not by reading a book, but by doing.
Thank you for a great conversation, John, and see you around, I guess.
Thank you, Pavel.